perimeter and area. Okay, so another lesson class that we're going to talk this morning is all about this perimeter and area. So this is still a related concept about measuring length because of course when we measure class perimeter and area, we pertain to its length, right? We were able to come up class the measure of the sides of a polygon and its area is because we have this length. So this is still related to length. Okay, so these are the learning objectives that we have in this lesson. You should be able to find the perimeter and area of a polygon and solve problems involving perimeter and area. So these problems class are already indicated in your learning task and learning check, which I want you to answer. So I want you class to take a look on this figure. Okay, in which concept class do we apply when we do have this gift? Okay, do we apply class a perimeter or is it area? So Christmas season class is fast approaching, right? And we are so much excited class to receive gifts, especially if they are wrapped nicely. Okay, so somehow we could have this figure, a gift. Okay, we have here a ribbon, and then we have here a gift wrapper, and then we have there the box. So given that illustration, which concept class was applied? Do we apply perimeter here or do we apply area? Okay, I want you class to try think in which concept do we apply the concept of perimeter and area. So knowing class that you already have a knowledge on perimeter and area, given this gift, if you receive class a gift, which concept can you associate that one? Is it perimeter? Is it area? Or is it volume that you are talking about? Okay, class, I want you to share your ideas, share your answers. Don't be afraid, class, to share your idea. Class, when you have a gift, okay, is it application of perimeter or is it an area? Okay, area. Why not check class or guan? Perimeter. If I say class, I can see here a perimeter. Would you agree with me? I can see the concept of perimeter as applied when we receive a gift. For example, in this illustration. Okay, class, any idea some more? Okay, not sure. Okay, so I'd like you to ask, why did you say that it's the idea of area which is applied when we have this gift, when we receive a gift? Why did you say that you can relate the idea of area in this illustration? Class, any idea? Why did you say that it's the concept of area applied in this figure? Class, any idea? Why did you say it's the application of area? Okay, so based on your responses, I could not see that one of you say that is the application of perimeter. Okay, so I guess there are no more ideas coming out. So I guess let us try to analyze class this figure or this illustration of a gift. Okay, so in the gift class, of course, we have here your ribbons, this one, okay, this part, and then of course we have our gift wrapper, okay, this one. Okay, so the gift wrapper class, when you try to wrap your box with a gift wrapper, what we do is we try to cover class. We try to cover all the faces of our rectangular box. And then class, covering the rectangular box with a gift wrapper involves the concept of area. So area class, we're going to cover the entire faces of our rectangular object, for example, in this illustration. So when we try to cover this one, this is now the concept of area, okay? So we try to cover the entire surface of our gift, or yes, our box. And then class, when you try class to add ribbons, okay, when you try to add ribbons class in our gift, that is now involved class, it now involves the perimeter. So perimeter class is the total measure of all edges in a given polygon. Okay, so this one, when you try to measure the length of, when you try class to measure the length of the ribbon needed to wrap your gift, that involves class the concept of perimeter. So how long will be the ribbon, or how long is the ribbon needed to cover your gift? That is your perimeter. But then when you say class, how much paper do I need to cover the entire gift that I have? It involves class the concept of area. Okay, so I guess class by now you have expanded your idea on perimeter and area as applied to daily life. Okay, so we have here. So let's talk first about perimeter. Okay, so when you say class, perimeter is the measure or the distance around a polygon. So you want to know, class, the distance around a polygon. So you could imagine, class, in our gift, we wanted to have, we wanted to attach a ribbon to it. Okay, so when we attach, class, so how long will be the ribbon is, we can think of measuring the perimeter of a polygon. So we have here some objects, class, which we can measure the perimeter. For example, class, again, perimeter is just the measure of the length of the entire polygon. So how long is a polygon? That is that is what we meant by perimeter. So for example, we have here a class, a triangle. Okay, so the perimeter, class, of a triangle is just obtained by adding all three sides. So given, class, this figure, it is, we could say that this triangle is an equilateral triangle because it has the same measure all throughout. But then, class, but then again, the basic idea, class, of perimeter of a triangle, what you can do is to add all the measure of its sides. For example, side A, B, and C, just have to add all its sides, and then you now have the perimeter of a triangle. Okay, so this one, it is just to get the perimeter, you just have to add all its sides. Okay, so I want you, class, to try to get the perimeter of this triangle. Again, class, when you do measurement, class, it should have a unit of measure. Okay, what unit of measure do we use here? So make it a habit, class, that when you try to give the measure, class, the perimeter, area, and the volume, make sure, class, to append with it a unit of measure. So can we say, class, any units of measure used in this figure? So wala, no, there's no unit of measure used. So mean to say, it means, class, that this side measures 3, or each side, class, of this triangle measures 3 units. So that is 3 units. So when you were asked, class, what is the perimeter of this triangle, you should say that the perimeter is 9 units. Okay, that should give you the correct answer. So again, class, if you can see any units of measure, just append the unit. Okay, this one, that is unit, or if plural, is units. Okay, that is this side measures 3 units, 3 and 3. Therefore, the perimeter, class, is 9 units. So that is 3 plus 3, adding all 3 sides, that is equal to 9 units. But then again, class, if you're given an equilateral triangle, you can just use the formula 3s. 3 times the measure of the side of a triangle. So for example, the measure is 3. Number 3 times 3, and that should give you 9 units. Questions, class, on the measure of perimeter of a triangle? Class, are there questions? So I do hope that's clear. Then another, class, we have here perimeter of a rectangle. Okay, so the perimeter, class, of a rectangle is given by the formula 2 times length plus width, or that is equivalent to 2 times length plus 2 width. So why is that so? Okay, why is that like that? Okay, why is it that we have this formula? Okay, so if you have here, class, this is our length. Okay, as for this is our width, for example, and this is our length. This is another width, and this is another length. Okay, if you try to add, class, all of its sides, in the lower class of algebra, you have to combine like terms. So that basically, so it is L here, mean to say it has a coefficient of 1 that is equal to L plus W plus W's. And then to add this one, we get here 2L plus 2W. Okay, that's how we derive this formula. Just simply again, applying the concept class of perimeter, which is the measure of all sides of a polygon. So I want you class to try to compute the perimeter of this polygon with width equal to 3.7 and the length are equal to 5 units. What will be its perimeter? Okay, yes, I want you to try answering this problem or this example. Okay, that's good that you are now affixing class the units of measure. It's very important class, especially class when you join competition and then you got the correct answer, but then there's no unit of measure, then that is considered as wrong. So make it a habit class to always append the unit of measure. This is a measurement problem. Okay, so let me just show you this solution and check class if you have the same answer. So we have here 2 times 5 plus 3.7, or that is expounded as 2 times 5 plus 2 times 3.7. That is equal to 10, and then 3.7 times 2, that is equal to 7.4. That should give us the answer of 17.4 units. Okay, questions, class, or clarifications on the perimeter of a rectangle? Are there questions you would like to ask?
None,
Okay,
sir.
understand. Can move to perimeter of a square. Okay, for square class, just very simple. It's just equal to 4s. Mean to say, 4 times class the measure of the side of a square. So 4s class again, one unique characteristic class of a square is that all sides are equal. Okay, that is square class is also known as your special rectangle. Again, it is a special rectangle because it has equal sides. So the perimeter is just equal to 4 times the measure of each side of the square. For example, class, given this figure, what will be its perimeter? Class, what's the perimeter of this figure? Okay, we have, okay, that's very obvious. The side class is equal to 4. So applying the formula, 4 times 4, that is equal to 16 units. Okay, that's again, root over square is equal to 4 times 4. We got there 16 units. Okay, question, class, or clarifications about the perimeter of a square?
None, sir.
Okay, so I do hope, class, that's clear. Then we have here, class, the circumference of a circle. This is also known, class, as circumperimeter. Okay, circumference is just the same when you say circumperimeter class of a circle. Given by the formula, class, circumference is equal to pi d. Okay, pi class, for uniformity of our answer, we just use the standard value class of pi, which is equal to 3.14. Okay, we just use this number, class, multiplied by the diameter of a circle. Okay, but then, for example, class, if you were given a radius, what you can do is to use this formula. Just get the diameter. If you're given, class, a radius, again, just multiply the radius by 2. And that will give you the formula of 2 pi r. So 2 times radius times 3.14. So whichever, class, is applicable. Again, if you are given, class, the diameter of a circle, let's use the formula pi d. And then if you're given, class, the radius, use this formula 2 pi r. Okay? So for example, okay, this is your diameter. This is your diameter of your circle. And then half of the diameter, class, is the radius. And that is why we multiply the radius by 2 to get the diameter. Again, class, half of the diameter is what we call your radius. Okay, for given this example class, we have here a circle whose radius is equal to 3.6. What will be its circumference? 3.6 centimeter. I want you class to try answering or try to get the circumference of this circle whose radius measures 3.6 centimeters. Okay, try to answer class on your seat. And we'll try to see if you have obtained the same answer as what I will be presenting to you in this slide. So again, make sure class to append the unit of measure, which in this example is centimeter. Okay, some more answers. Please do share your answers, class. And then class, for uniformity of our answers, we have to round off our final answer to the nearest hundreds. Okay, so I guess I can see here your answers. And let's try to compare class whether you have arrived the same answer. Okay, so 2, since this is a radius, we have to multiply our radius by 2. So 2 times 3.14 times 3.6. And then again, class, for your uniformity, we have to round off our answer to the nearest hundred. So the final answer will be 22 point. Nearest hundreds, classes, is your tens, hundreds, thousands. So nearest hundreds, so it will be 22.61 centimeter. Okay, class, did you get the point? Ang final answer, class, should be rounded off to 2 decimal places. So, or that is, it is just like the same, class. Round off your answer to the nearest hundreds. That is your tens, hundreds, and thousand. So hundreds is this one. So the next value here is 8. Therefore, we have to round up our next answer, our next value, or next digit, and that will give us 22.61. Okay, questions, class, or clarifications?
None, sir.
Okay, so I hope class is clear. Again, beware, class, to round off your final answer to the nearest hundreds. And then don't forget, class, to affix your unit of measure. Okay, so we now have, class, another related na po na siya about measurement is about your area or the area of polygon. So it's a number of times a unit area can be placed on the surface to cover it. So I mean to say, when we do class area, we try to measure how much of, for example, in our illustration earlier, how much paper do I need to cover this box? Okay, we try to measure the total. Okay, well, actually, when you do class gift wrapping, it involves, class, surface area. Okay, pero class surface area is still part of area. Okay, so that's why it involves, class, the concept of area to cover the entire gift we have. Okay, so again, that's the number of times a unit object can is used to cover the entire surface. Okay, so we have here, class, the area of a triangle. Very basic. We have here the formula of 1/2 times base times height, or we could further simplify, class, as base times height divided by 2. Okay, so your height, class, is a perpendicular line drawn to the opposite side of your, or drawn to the base of your triangle. Okay, it is always perpendicular. I mean to say, you should measure, class, 90 degrees. That is your height. And then your base, class, this is your lower base from which the height is projected to. So that is your base. That is base times your height divided by 2. That's the formula for the area of a rectangle. Okay, we have your example. Given, class, this illustration or this figure, I want you, class, to measure the area of a triangle. Okay, I want you, class, to compute for the area of this triangle with a height of 4 centimeters with a base that measures 12 centimeters. As for perimeter, that is just we don't have to square. Pero class, when we do area, for example, centimeter no, as centimeter times centimeter, by law class of algebra, we have to add their exponent. So cm, this has exponent of 1, and then another exponent of 1, so this should give us cm squared. We apply here the law of algebra. You have to add all the exponents, and that is why class, when you talk about area, it should have a square on its unit. Okay? That's the concept class of law of algebra. That's why we arrive here a squared value of our unit of measure. Okay, so that is, we have class this formula. 6 times 4 is 24 divided by 2. So we got here the value of 12 square centimeters. So that's how we read this value, 12 square centimeters. Again, class, don't forget to fix the unit of measure. So I guess all of you were able to get the correct answer, and that's good. Okay, questions, class, or clarifications?
None, sir.
Then how about class for the rectangle? Okay, we have here length times width. This is your width. This is your width of your rectangle, and this is your length of your rectangle. So again, all angles, class, the rectangle measures 90 degrees. So they are perpendicular. So both width, class, has the same measure as well as its length. It has the same measure. So that's the characteristic of a rectangle. So try to compute, class, the area of this rectangle given this figure. Its width measures 4 centimeters, while its length measures 13.5 centimeter. I want you to try getting its area. Okay, 54 square centimeters. Okay, so let me show you, I guess, many of you. Okay, so we have here 4 centimeters times 13.5 centimeters. Again, don't forget, class, to add their exponents. cm1, cm1, that should give us m squared. Then 4 times 13.5, that is 54. So that is why we have here 54 square centimeters. Questions, class, or clarifications?
None, sir.
Okay, so I hope that's clear. So we have here the area of a square. Just side times side, we have here a square. Then again, class, we have an exponent of 1. This is why we got their exponent of 2. But by law of algebra, exponent, you have to add their exponents. That's why we got here the value of 2. So this side square. So for example, that's an illustration. Okay, I want you to try answering this problem. Find the area of the square whose side measures 6.7 centimeters. Okay, I want you, class, to try answering this example. What's the area of this square? And then I forgot to mention, class, that again, one unique characteristic, class, of squares that all sides are equal. So square, class, is a special rectangle because all sides are equal. And then all angles again of this square measures 90 degrees. Okay, so let me show you the answer. So again, that is 6.7 times 6.7 should be equal to 44.89. What did you get, class? 26.8 centimeter. Okay, the time times 4. Okay, so you have to class, you have to remember this process. If it is perimeter, when you talk about perimeter class, is the distance around the polygon. So kung around the polygon class, you have to add all this side. That is, mutong ang perimeter sa square, that is equal to 4s. Pero when you say class area, the measure here is how many square centimeters can we fit inside this figure. So how many square centimeters can we fit, class, inside this square, whose side measures 6.7 centimeters. So how many square centimeters are there inside this square which measures 6.7 centimeters? So in this case, we are trying to measure, class, how many square centimeters. And to say we are trying to, class, to get its area. And then when we get its area, the formula for area of a square is side times side, or that is simply as square. So that should give us the formula of, or the solution, which is 6.7 times 6.7 centimeter. And after multiplying, we get this value, 44.89. And then again, cm times cm, we got there cm squared. Class, we're now able, class, to get the solution which I have presented. Or were you able, class, to be clarified with your solution? Anong delete 26.8? Class, questions? Naka-gets na, class, anong 44.89 and then anong delete 26.8? So
Yes,
that's what
sir.
I remember ha, basta area, ang concept diha is how many square centimeters or how many square units can we fit inside a polygon. And then when we say perimeter, what's the distance or the total measure of the polygon or around the polygon. So square units, mean to say it involves finding the area. And then area of a square is always side times side. So dili ta mag 4 times s, kaya kung mag 4 times s ta, we are trying to measure, class, the distance around this polygon. So unsa man pila man ka centimeters when we try to measure around this polygon. So if fill out na to siya ang square units, again, that involves area. Okay, so I hope, class, that clarifies your answer. And it's good, class, that you share these answers because it's from our mistakes that we learn. Okay, so that's a good point, class, that na-clarified mo. At least you learn something or na-clarify mo with your answer. Okay, we have your, class, area of a parallelogram. Okay, we have here base times height or length times height. Now, sometimes, class, we use this term as length, but it could also represent, class, as the base. Okay, if you encounter, class, in some other books, they use a formula which is base times height. It is just the same concept. Okay, base or length times height, and then height, class, is a line drawn perpendicular to your base or to the length. Okay, that is why this is height. Okay, again, height, class, is a line drawn perpendicular from one base of our polygon to the other side. So in this case, this one is your height. So base times height, that is your area of your parallelogram. And then one unique characteristic, class, of a parallelogram is that all sides are parallel to each other. Okay, parallel sila at the same time, they have the same measure. Pero again, the difference is that not all angles, okay, it's angle, class. The angles of this parallelogram doesn't measure 90 degrees. Unlike with a rectangle and square, wherein all of its angles measures 90 degrees. But in the case, class, of parallelogram, dili siya 90 degrees. Okay? So that's all about characteristic, class, of a parallelogram. Okay, so we have here, class, some example. I want you to try getting the area of this figure, whose height measures 3 centimeter, and then one of its base measures 11.6 centimeter. And, class, there's one thing which I would like to emphasize. This side and this side are the same measure. while this side and this side also have the same measure. So that is why here, but since this is a slant height, this is a slant portion of your rectangle, of your parallelogram, we just need to draw class a perpendicular line to get its height. For example, this one, the height here is 3 centimeter. And then we have here a base. One of its base or the length measures 11.6 centimeters. Again, let me show you. I guess you have here the answer. 34.8 square centimeters. Again, 11.6 centimeters times 3 centimeters. That is equal to 34.8 square centimeters. Last questions or clarifications?
None, sir.
Okay, so I do hope class you
None, sir.
understand. Okay, so we have here the area of trapezoid. Area class of a trapezoid, we have here base 1. Okay, sorry. A base 1 class represents here as A, then this is your base 2, which is represented by the variable B, and then this is your height. Again, class, your height is drawn perpendicular to the opposite side of your trapezoid, and this is your height. And then in some other books, class, you could say, you could see this formula, base 1, this is your base 1, plus base 2, okay, this is your base 2, and then divided by 2, pwede po siya times height. Either way, you will arrive the same answer. Okay? So again, base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2, or pwede po base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times height. You will arrive at the same answer. Okay? Try this example. Trapezoid class whose bases measures 5.5 centimeter and 8.6 centimeter respectively, and a height of 2.5 centimeter. Then you were tasked to get its area. And class area, how many square units can we fit into this figure? Ang square units class, just a single square which can fit into this figure. So how many square units can we fit inside this trapezoid? That's the concept of area. Pero class, when you try to measure again the distance around this trapezoid, that is basically you are getting the perimeter. But then again, when you talk about how many square units can we fit into this figure, we refer that one as area. Okay, you now have this answer. So again, let me show you the solution and we'll try to compare if you have arrived class at the same answer. So base 1, 5.5 centimeter plus 8.6 centimeter times height, 2.5 divided by 2, we have here 17.625 square centimeters. But then again, our final answer should be rounded off to the nearest hundreds. This should give us the answer of 17.63 square centimeters. Okay, question class or clarification about the area of a trapezoid.
None, sir.
Okay, so I hope class that's clear. Then last thing class about area of a circle. And the area of circle class is given by the formula yr squared. So again, this is your diameter and half of the diameter is your radius. Okay, I want you class to try to get the area of this circle whose diameter class measures 4.8 centimeter. In class, I want you to get the area of this circle whose diameter measures 4.8 centimeter. And after which, try to share your answers from our chat box. In class, I do encourage you to please participate so that you can check your progress if you were able to follow our lesson or wala. Para ma-clarify po na ako ang things which were not clear or the reason why you didn't get the correct answer. Or it may be that there's nasa iyo ba ang solution? Well, anyway, we'll have to clarify that, and I want you to participate for these purposes. Okay, so one thing you have to remember, class, if you're given here a diameter, of course, you have to find the radius. So again, class, if you're given a diameter of a circle, then you're tasked to get its area. You have to get its radius. And we have known, as you have known, class, that radius is just half of your diameter. Therefore, we need to divide your diameter by 2. So 4.8 divided by 2, that should give us 2.4 centimeter, which is now our radius. So you should use, class, 2.4 centimeter as your radius for this example. Let me share to you this solution. Okay, so again, class, you have to use, class, the radius of 2.4. Why 2.4? Because ang 4.8, class, is just the diameter. Okay, and then from the diameter, we have to get its radius. Therefore, we need to divide it by 2. So mo nga nagamit ko 2.4. And class, diameter given here is 4.8 centimeter. And then from the diameter, class, you are tasked to get its radius. Therefore, we have to divide the diameter by 2. That is equal to 4.8 centimeter divided by 2. That should give us 2.4 centimeter. So muna na siya, 2.4 is pi r squared. So 2.4 square times 3.14, we get her this value. And then final answer, round it off to the nearest 100. So that is equal to 18.09 square centimeters. Okay, let me check kung na ba nakapag 18.09. That's how did you able to get this answer 15.07? Did you just directly multiply, class? 3.14? Okay, yun lang, 3.14 times 4.8. Okay, so that's one thing, class, that you have to remember. So if you're given, class, a diameter, you need first to get its radius. So you need to divide the diameter by 2 in order to get the radius. Okay, that's one thing that you have to remember, ha? Okay, so you should learn this time that if you're given, class, a diameter, you need to divide it by 2 to get the radius. And then with that, if you now have the radius, then you can now use the formula, which is pi r squared. And that should give you the correct answer. Okay, so I do hope, class, that you learn from this example that if you're given a diameter, you need first to get its radius. Okay, an example. Okay, well, give you another illustration. Let me just erase these writings. Malicious presentation. Okay, okay, this one. Not sure. For example, please to consider lang that this is a circle. Okay, I can draw a perfect circle here, pero okay, let's just assume, class, that okay, sorry. Let's just erase. Okay, for example, we have here. Okay, so this is a perfect circle. But anyway, for illustration purposes, if you have, class, this circle whose diameter measures, let's say, for example, 9.5 centimeter, your task, class, to find the area. Okay, want your class to try to get its area for this circle whose diameter measures 9.5 centimeters. Okay, I want your class to try answering this example. Try to get its area. Okay, so I do hope class that you get it now. Again, if you're given class a diameter, you have to divide it by 2 to get its radius. And then from the radius that you have obtained, you can now start applying the formula. But then again, when you divide class, say for example 4.7 divided by 2, and then it gives you a value of 3 decimal places, don't try to round off because that is not yet your final answer. So it's okay if you have a 9.5 and you divide them more, you only have 2 decimal places. Pero class, again, when you try to divide it by 2 class and then you arrive at a value which has 3 or more decimal places, don't try to round it off, okay? So that you can arrive the same answer. So what you can round off is your final answer. Okay, so that is okay, so I hope you got it now. So again, we are given here class a diameter of 9.5 centimeter. Okay. Then from the diameter, you have to get its radius. Radius class is just equal to diameter over 2. That is equal to 9.5 centimeter divided by 2. The radius class is equal to 4.75. Am I right, class? It is equal to 4.75 centimeter. Okay. Since we now have class this radius, we can now use this value to compute for its area. And then we have known class that the area of this circle is given by the formula pi r squared. Okay. And then the value of pi, as we have agreed, is equal to 3.14. And then times the radius class of 4.75. Okay, 4.75 times 4.75. Okay, that's the expand form of 4.75 square. Okay, then after multiplying, you get this answer of and after this 4.75 times 4.75 and then times 3.14, we get the answer class of 14.1. Okay, so final answer class will be 14.92. Wala ako sa edit check. Oh, sorry. Ang answer na sa kasang na-arrive is 70.84. Oh, 70.85. Kasi how did you able to get 14.92?